Waiting for the streaming to kick on, and we are live everywhere. Absolute awesomeness. I am excited to be here, even though it's a Monday. Hope everybody's doing well. I am in studio at Hannah Traffic Services, that place where we do this every day that we do this. Couple of things to know. We're not here tomorrow. We're not here Thursday. There's stuff and things going on outside of the studio where it means I can't be here. But that doesn't mean we don't love you. This is Ask a Traffic Cop, that show on the internet where I answer your traffic and police questions for a full hour. I understand, based on rumor only, that Sergeant Campbell may be joining us for the first 15 or 20 minutes, but then he left. I don't know if he's coming back. He was here. So for anyone who is looking forward to seeing his smiling face, know that he has every intention to be here for about 15 minutes, and then there's another meeting he has to go to, so he'll have to step out. But I see that there's a whole bunch of stuff waiting for us on Volley. First things first, if you want to ask us questions, know that you can certainly do that on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, and it'll show up on screen here. I can get the questions, select them, boom, it goes on the screen. However, you see, I press this button as a demo. And that's what happens. Now, and I have a Killer Draconis who just jumped in from YouTube with greetings and salutations. Thank you very much, Brent. A regular participant in the show. Now, if we are talking about the other platforms, the other platform, I need like an I need an echo button. Do I have that? Do I? I might have it.
I have a large robot button.
Okay, I don't have mail. And now okay, I'm not gonna press the sound effects things. Anyway, we have the other platforms. Good morning to my wife, Leah wife, who's jumped in on YouTube, which is nice to see you. Now, if we're talking about TikTok, we do have the ability to see you or you to see us on TikTok. And good morning to Master Technician from Peterborough, and Nate, who says yo, and Rod Zibo, who says hi, and Cooper, who says, what up, officer? We have the traffic moderator saying hello to everybody. And Lancaster, New York, Joseph, hey, how you doing? A cross-border, thank you. And Sergeant Campbell's back.
You know what? I got about 15 minutes.
I warned them about that.
Okay. Well, let's
see
what I can do.
Your microphone is there. Your headphones are there. Good. We got Snarf Barf. I don't.
Snarf Barf.
Yeah, he wants to know, how do I become you? Pick up a some social media stuff, an account, a microphone, a camera. You're in business. Okay, except for the police part. You have to join the police and become a police officer first, and then you can take over being me. Cooper says, love Toronto officers, best in the world.
Wow, thank you.
We try to be the best. Let's see here. We have stuff. A couple of things to discuss before we get into it, because I want to make sure that we cover it. I don't forget, and in the last 10 minutes have to rush back and say, Vision Zero Enforcement Team. Yes, we have one. They are a talented group of officers who focus on changing driver behavior. They do it one ticket at a time. They do not give out hugs. Tickets are issued only. I know that disappoints many people, but if you want to meet some of these people, you need to only be breaking the law on our roads, because they are out there looking for people who choose to speed, drive aggressively, drive distracted, drive impaired, and they're doing it today in 22 Division and 41 Division. Those are the neighborhoods of Etobicoke West Mall, the Queensway, Dorset Park, Kennedy Park, Birchcliff, Cliffside, neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. Simple as that.
You know, they do an amazing job when they're out there. They are really, really good.
Now I had my camera in front of the screen. I couldn't actually see it. They do amazing jobs. They hand out a ton of tickets, and I've heard stories of people being charged multiple times. People who didn't learn their lesson the first time, and actually for the same offense, like cell phones. Somebody recently told a friend of mine, hey man, you got me for this already last week. And the logic there is astounding. I don't get it.
And you know what? There's escalating sanctions on cell phone tickets. So guess what? You're going to lose it even more. And your insurance? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a person who does that, because I don't want to pay more than I already feel like I paid too much, and I'm a good driver who follows the rules. I don't want to pay more. That should be motivation in itself. Michael has a is this from today? It's from one day ago. What did Michael have to say? Hang on a second. If you're watching on Volley, know that you can actually send us video, voice, or text. To get that app or access to the app, which is available on either as an iOS, Android for people like Sergeant Campbell, and you can also get it by web, and it allows you to send us clips, and that's exactly what Michael has done. Let's see what he said.
Hey, Sean, I had a question.
regarding G1 drivers. Are G1 drivers supposed to tell their insurance they got G1, or are they automatically enrolled under their insurance policy and you don't have to call? And second question is it everywhere in Ontario that G1 drivers insurance is free, or is it just some companies?
So it's not a matter of free insurance. What it is that the vehicle has to be insured. That's the vehicle. In Ontario, we insure vehicles, not drivers. But drivers, when the G1 comes, like when I called the insurance company for my wife, they said no difference in premium, but we want to mark it down. Thanks for letting us know. There's no change in premium until you get your G2 in most cases. And many people wonder, do I have to be insured as a G2? Well, if you live with a driver, most insurance providers want you to be insured. If you're borrowing a car and you have the ability to do that, and it's somebody that you don't live with, they can lend you the vehicle as long as it doesn't contravene any of the contractual obligations. They might say nobody under 25 can drive. They make that arrangement with you as the customer. You need to abide by those things, because if you break the rules, although not illegal, they may choose not to what's it called? Cover you in a claim situation. That's what it is. They could reject your claim. Yeah, that was
it's a private contract between you and your insurance company, and whatever rules that you agree to and they come up with, you have to abide by them, because if not, then they, like I said, they won't cover you. So you, in the event that even if something happened where somebody else caused damage to your car, you would still not be covered.
And in terms, so it's really question 1 and 2 together, because you asked if it's free everywhere, and it's not that it's free; it's that you can drive vehicles that are insured, but you also must be supervised by a licensed, qualified G class driver. They have to have their G class and 4 years experience, and be sober in the front passenger seat.
And how do you tell if they got 4 years experience?
Ooh, the dots. It's all about the dots.
It's the 4 dots.
It's about the dots.
So I was out this weekend with some friends, and we started talking about the 4 dots. And everybody had to bring out their driver's license to have a look. Nobody noticed it was there.
It's amazing. And now everyone knows, and everyone who's in Ontario right now is probably looking at their driver's license, trying to figure out if they are qualified to supervise a G1 driver. And just to let you know, bottom right-hand corner of your license has a mini-me miniature version of yourself. To the left of the mini-me photo, you'll see 4 dots vertically oriented, arranged, dotted, and that's the dots that we're talking about.
And that means that you're qualified according to ministry records. If you do not have that, then you are not qualified to be an accompanying driver. You may have had a period of suspension in there. You might have not actually reached the required, years. So you have to wait until you get that other driver's license. And it's a brand new driver's license you have to have in your hand.
Yes. If you question it, if the dots are there, do not assume. Make sure it's there. Go talk to the ministry, and they could probably issue a new one that would be reflective of your status.
Yep, absolutely.
We have 2 requests. One, good morning, gentlemen, comes from Tim Shallow. We have a couple of questions that we'll hit up in just a second, but Michael has a request and says, can we have early dad jokes while Campbell is here? I have some on the dad joke channel. There's a dad joke channel now.
Oh, wow.
You need to jump in here.
I do.
But you actually told me the best joke of all time.
Well, there was one this morning that I kind of liked. Yeah.
We'll come back. We'll circle back to it.
Yeah.
So my wife told me to stop being a flamingo. He put his foot down. That's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Why don't seagulls fly over a bay? They would be bagels.
That one I've heard before. That one's good.
I like that. I like it a lot.
Okay, Sean, before we get into this, I have something really serious to talk to you about.
Tell me.
I have actually given up on using Velcro. I'm done with it. I'm done.
No more Velcro for you. Why?
It's a total ripoff.
I love that. It's actually really good. Okay, moving on. I got tears in my eyes. I really, that's it. I'm remembering the first time you told that to me like 20 minutes ago, and I loved it. Okay. Bader has a question. Can I transfer a car with an international license? So international license is not necessarily a license. So a foreign license, can you buy a car in Ontario with a foreign license? I don't know. Can you do that? You don't have to be licensed to have a car.
No, you don't have to be licensed to have a car, but to register it in Ontario, I think they would actually, they would create what's called a RIN number for you. It's not a RIN number, it's a RIN. So it's a registrant information number.
We keep getting called out for the number.
Yes. So they would create a RIN for you, which is, it goes to all the vehicles that you own. It's searchable by that. You don't need a driver's license. You don't need the 15-digit number, but a RIN is a 9 number unique to each individual people that have vehicles in their name
Good to know.
or companies.
So that would mean that because I know people from out of province can purchase a vehicle, have a temporary transport paper that they fold up and stick in the window because they're not getting plates in Ontario. They're taking it back to their home province. You're talking about another country. So there might be more to it than that. I don't know. Maybe you're shipping it out of the country. That's
So you can purchase something here and ship it out of the country. That's not a problem. It's whether you want to register it here is the issue, where without a driver's license, yes, you still can. They would create a number for you. It'd be unique to you. And
in terms of an international license, really, or a foreign license, because there are driving privileges extended to people with foreign licenses, an international license is a bit of a misnomer. It's not a license. It's a translation card issued by your home country. And on its own, it's not valid for anything other than describing what's on your actual license. So you need your actual foreign license and your international license card together to be valid.
right. In Canada, it's issued by CAA. And it's a private company, so they have nothing to do with the government. They just take your driver's license and translate it into whatever language your country you're going to.
I really felt like James Bond when I got my international driver's license. I had no plan on traveling, but I wanted to have that piece of paper. I still have it somewhere. This piece of paper with my photo.
You're too cool.
Yeah, that was cool. That's what it was. If a speeding ticket gets here we go. If a speeding ticket gets dismissed, do police still have a record of the infraction? We have a record.
Interaction.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you for reading what I did not read. In interaction. Yes, we do. Everything we do is stored in our computer. So if we pull you over and give you a warning, it's a record. If we pull you over and lay no charges, there'd be some degree of the actual event, even though we may not record details of it. But there's always a breadcrumb trail left by these things.
It would not be used for sentencing purposes, though. It couldn't be used by the court, couldn't be used by the Ministry of Transportation. You are not convicted of it. Yes, there's a record because it happened, but it can't be used.
Here's an interesting question. Is it possible to make an ATV street legal for city driving?
Is it possible? Yes, it's possible.
How so?
Well, you can modify it enough to meet the minimum safety standards to operate on road. You're changing tires, you're changing lighting, you're changing safety equipment, you're changing
an ATV.
You would have to change absolutely everything. Is it possible? Yes. Can you build your own car? Yes. But you need to have everything to qualify. Would it make sense to do that? No. It absolutely.
So you'd have to basically take your ATV and make it into a car.
You'd have to take your ATV and change it in such drastic ways that it really would no longer be an
that
ATV.
Possible is a bit of a stretch then, because as an ATV, while it's VINed as one, it's an off-road vehicle that does have privileges in certain jurisdictions on the road, with certain conditions. But like City of Toronto, it would be prohibited altogether. And I guess unless you modified it, where you get to take the possible
and made it into a car, a vehicle, a motor vehicle safe for the road. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
It would cost so much to do, though. It's not worth it. But there are people that make their own cars. They can manufacture their own car. They can buy kits and make their own car, as long as it meets the minimum safety standards.
So who would set that? Who it would be Transport Canada, or that would be VINing it as a safe vehicle for the road?
No, it would have to pass the motor vehicle safety inspection.
Interesting. Okay, we'll have to. I wonder if anyone's ever done it. My wife says that today is Nowruz. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Maybe it's Nowruz, and I feel terrible because I don't know how to pronounce it. But anyway, today, Happy New Year to anyone celebrating that day. And I thank you for bringing it to our attention because we were completely out of the loop. No one told me. Okay, Nick wants to know. I love this. Is it legal to have a smoked license plate cover from Canadian Tire? Nick, I'm sorry to tell you that license plate covers of any kind, smoked, colored, or clear, are illegal, along with the license plate frames that come with your dealership that advertise their salesmen to get them more business. All of those are prohibited, technically illegal. And when I say technically, it's because they're illegal, but we obviously focus on the ones we can't see properly. Very often people have license plate covers that really don't impact. And we may not be pulling those people over right away, even though they're technically violating. We're looking for ones that truly obstruct license plates and make them illegible.
Yeah, if you notice, license plates, actually, the numbers are raised on it, and that's to change your ability to see it. They're colored differently, but if you put a plastic cover over top of it, any dirt or any dust or anything that's on there is not going to stand out on those letters. You're not going to be able to differentiate them. You're not going to be able to see them.
And people make the excuse that it's to protect them. These peeling plates, it's an epidemic. We need to protect them because, well, first of all, if they are damaged within 5 years if they're defective in peel within 5 years, they're covered under a warranty, get them replaced at no charge. If they are beyond that, just pay to get them renewed. It's $52 to give you a new set of plates. It's cheaper than the $110 every time you get stopped.
You know what? And I kind of understand the theory behind it. You do want to keep your car looking good. I see clear plates on the front, and I'm less likely to pull somebody over. But when they put something on the rear plate, there's no reason because you're not getting salt, snow, dust, gravel, stones coming up from behind you. And the tinted ones, no, there's only one purpose for tinting your plate. It's so that nobody can read it.
And then there's the ones that are specifically designed to prevent you from being captured on camera, like red light cameras and speed cameras and toll charges, things like that. There's absolutely no excuse, and those they should have more penalties. They should be much higher for those because those are designed without question. They can't even pretend that it was for something else. Kieran wants to know: are you getting paid to do this? Actually, yes, we are. We are paid members of the Toronto Police Service in a police station on duty, doing this for your benefit. We are here to educate and answer questions, no different than if we were at a major event, the car show, and we were that booth behind us actually is from the car show or trade shows. We used to go to all of them and make ourselves available. Now we make ourselves available every single day to answer your questions.
Wouldn't you want to ask a question here and get the answer and get a proper answer here? Then go out, risk yourself, and get an answer at the side of the road as the officer's handing you a ticket. You know what? It's better to ask it here, and we will do our best to clear it up for you.
We have a question from Ryan Pinn, or actually more of a good morning, an update on his life. He said he had a great March break filled with loads of tin bits, hockey, and cadet marksmanship. Now, Ryan is with the Canadian Armed Forces, and he is also a driving instructor in Nova Scotia, and of course, a regular contributor and friend to the show. We have. Let's see what we got. There's a joke. There's a couple of jokes coming in here, but we want to move on to John getting slapped by illegal. It would cost too much at that point. You might as well buy a standard car. I
totally agree.
Yeah,
with regards to the ATV. Yeah.
Does proceed contrary to sign at intersection carry demerit points? I believe it does. I think it's two. Yeah, I think so. And yeah, because there's authority that is there. It is a driving choice, and yeah. If I owned a DeLorean, I'd probably drive it from time to time. That's the wrong button.
No, I like it.
You like it?
I like it. Okay. I really do like that one. Who is that one from?
That's from Q.
I liked it, Q.
That's funny. What was the other one? When Jimi Hendrix was 16, he was in a car crash. Luckily, it was just a fender bender. That's also very good. I give you credit. That was good. Okay. We've got that. We've got that. Okay. We got a lull with no questions. So I'm just going to have a look at the chat and see what's cooking. It might be just a loading situation. Sometimes that happens. Okay. What does the local traffic only sign mean? Can I get a ticket for driving on these streets? So those are usually construction signs.
Local traffic only? No, it's to stop vehicles from using that route to bypass the major arteries that may be a little bit slower clogged.
So it's a proper regulated sign. I most often see that in orange construction zones.
No, I've seen it in neighborhoods in Toronto for sure. Kingston Road and Lawrence is one of them I can think about. There's a little shortcut you can sneak through there. They put that sign up there to stop people from using a residential street as a main thoroughfare.
Okay. Interesting. I got a question from Jesse. What happens if you receive a DUI in another province than where your license is issued? He's asked that a couple of times. Please only ask once. We'll get to your question when we can. But that is the question. You get arrested and you're suspended in that province. Well, if you are, let's say, an Ontario resident and you are suspended outside of Ontario, well, you're suspended here too. Because you're suspended anywhere in Canada, we're going to accept that suspension.
Sean, I got to run.
Run.
We have a meeting coming up. And
okay.
A few other things, and I have to give somebody a call.
I appreciate you. Thanks
You
for
know what?
popping in.
I'm glad you're here. You know what? This is pretty much the best job ever. Sitting here talking to you, being a police officer.
Aw,
But you know what? I was wondering if I could get a job, that paid me to sleep.
does such a thing exist?
Oh man, if it did, that would be my dream job.
Or you could be a fireman.
Well, there is that.
Oh, I actually really appreciate firemen, but that doesn't mean I don't take the opportunity to give them a dig when I can, because we're all friends. And actually, there's animosity between firemen and police officers in some places, and maybe that's just jealousy because they get to nap and cook on duty. Not that I am jealous, but I will say this: that whenever I've investigated collisions involving fire vehicles, they make amazing food, pizza, like everything, really, really good. And that's not a knock. That's like absolutely, they feed me so well, or have fed me in the past so well, whilst I was, doing all that heavy lifting with my pen. They do much more heavy lifting. That's a very strenuous job. Let's see here. What did the green grape say to the purple grape? Breathe. Too funny. Okay. Why can't motorcycles do push-ups? They're always too tired. Oh my goodness. This is turning into joke day. Actually, here's not a joke day. It's something to while let some questions queue up. Last night, I got into some interesting conversations online with people who didn't like the fact that I use the terminology, and we generally use the terminology of traffic safety as a shared responsibility. It really bothered them. I mean, they were people calling me names. They were very unhappy. If you want to read back what I said and what was said back, mind you, I can't read the ones that blocked me, but you can go back and check out at VoiceOver Cop on Twitter, because there's all sorts of dialogue there. And I talk about the fact that we want everyone to be safe, absolutely everybody. And it doesn't matter whether you ride, walk, or drive. You're using the road, and that's a shared space. And everyone has a responsibility to be as safe as possible. Now, I've been accused of being insensitive to pedestrians and cyclists, and it's been suggested that they have no control or power over anything that happens to them on the road. And I disagree. I disagree because you can make good choices, and those good choices can increase your odds of survival or avoiding bad situations. But they don't like that, and I can appreciate they have an opinion, and when I say things that rock their foundation, it bothers them, and we don't have to agree. But I say my thing, they say their thing, and then we just don't talk again. Whatever. So here's the deal: they don't like the fact that it sounds like there's an equal responsibility. Now, I don't believe there's an equal responsibility, but we have to acknowledge that some responsibility lays with other road users other than drivers, because otherwise, that's putting your faith in the drivers. And have you seen drivers on our roads? They're not the best, not all of them. There's some good ones. There's a lot of bad ones. Why? Because I know there are. We have over 200,000. Actually, I haven't looked at the stats. I think it's over 215 or 17,000 charges laid last year because people chose to break the law. If they choose to break the law, they're not good drivers. There's lots of people we don't catch. So bad driving behavior is something we acknowledge. It happens. We're out there trying to change it one ticket at a time, and through things like what we're doing here today, education. But the offensive, the fact that saying that there's a shared responsibility, acknowledging that pedestrians also have responsibility on the road, or cyclists for that matter, really offends people. I don't know why. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. We want everyone to get home safe, period. What else can I tell you about that? So there was the general discussion about that. Oh, and then there was a second wave of being unhappy with me because I said that drivers, or sorry, what did I say? It was, but basically someone said if a cyclist causes a collision, nobody but the cyclist gets hurt. And I said, that's not true. There's a lot of hurt that occurs. It just may not be the same physical trauma that people are expecting. Yes, if a car hits a cyclist, regardless who's at fault, the cyclist gets more hurt, and that's a problem. But if a cyclist causes a collision, as my example, and a driver is involved, are they not hurt? Well, they may not be physically hurt, but there is trauma. PTSD is a real thing, and I made some points about the fact that not only is it the driver who responds or is involved with something that may not have been their fault in this scenario that I created. It's also EMS. It's also police attending. There's a lot of trauma, And that's not okay either. We want everyone to be safe. We don't want anyone to have trauma as best we can. Okay, enough of that. There's some questions that have popped up. See, that was me dancing. That's the only kind of dancing I do. Oh, here we go. Is it Joka Ahmed wants to know, can I refuse a search of my car during a traffic stop? It depends on the situation. So if I've got nothing to go on, I simply ask you, can I search your car? And you say no, well, then it's no. If I'm arresting you, can I search your car? Depends. If it's because of something like alcohol or drugs, yeah, I can search the area that in relation to the vehicle that where you were in the vehicle. Obviously, if the weapons, things like that. If I'm searching the car because I'm impounding your vehicle, now it's different. The search that I'm doing there is called an inventory search because I'm going to take your vehicle to, or the pound is going to get your vehicle. We want to make sure there's nothing incredibly valuable there that isn't accounted for. Because if it's not there when you pick up the car and you say, "Hey, there was $1 million in the back seat," well, no, I checked the back seat and I wrote it down right here. So that's an inventory search. So there's search. What is it called? What other searches are there? Plain sight. So if I see something, I can search based on that. Having seen something in plain view, it's a plain view doctrine. But search incident to arrest is a thing. So there's a lot of reasons. And if I have the authority to search, I'm going to search regardless of what you say. And if I don't have the authority, then I would need to get your authorization. And moving on. Hopefully that answers your question. If you've got more, because that's not something I talk about very often here. So my answer is more gobbledygook than regular. Is it Johan Norris? Good morning to you too. They sent a message of good mornings. We have here. Where are you guys broadcasting from? We are at 9 Hannah, which is in Toronto. It's the Traffic Services building, Traffic Services is the Toronto Police unit that handles citywide traffic response, collision investigation, and enforcement, and so on. We have some sub units or subunits, satellite locations, but this is the Traffic Services headquarters. We're not actually headquarters, we're just the building, but that's where we are. We're at 9 Hannah. Let's see here. And by the way, at 9 Hannah, we do stuff. What do we do? If you're involved in a motor vehicle collision and you are a pedestrian or a cyclist, we happen to have the one and only pedestrian and cyclist only collision reporting center. Yes, so you can actually go in and do I have a thing for this? I think I do. No, I don't. I was hoping I did, but I was wrong. You can actually start a collision report online and then complete it by coming into our location. But that is what we have here. Now, this location does not accept anyone that is in a car or motor vehicle of any kind. It's just for cyclists and pedestrians who don't have to come here. They can go to any one of the three locations in the city. Oh, John getting slapped by illegal said he was watching some of the conversations as they happened. And boy, it was definitely interesting to read. That is in relation to the Twitter conversation. Interesting to say something. Absolutely. It was interesting. Okay. Let's go into the chat and see what's going on. If you're watching us and you're like, wow, he's not answering my question. Why isn't he not answering my question? I have to ask you how you are connected, because we are broadcasting on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But Twitter, we can't actually see your questions. You can, however, go onto Volley, which is available through trafficcop.ca, and you can ask me questions there because we do that. And what is this? Oh, we have intellectual jokes. Oh no, I have questions here in the Q&A. Jeffrey wants to know, or they're talking about bicycles. Maybe there's a follow-up question here.
Hey, Sean, follow-up question to my insurance question is that let's say if a driver is insured under one vehicle, is he able to operate another motorized vehicle if he's already insured under one vehicle? And another question to that is, if I'm insured on a car, can I drive a motorcycle? Would my insurance be the same? Or do I need to have a separate motorcycle insurance?
Okay, more great questions from Michael, and the answers, let's try and go through them. If you're insured on one vehicle, you may be limited to that vehicle. You may not be. It depends on the contract that you sign. So let's say you live with your parents. Poor example, but that's the example I got. And you are insured to drive you're a secondary driver on the Plymouth. You want to drive the Porsche. The Porsche might have a specific condition saying no one under the age of 25. They may even specifically name you as someone that is not insured to be in that vehicle. From a police perspective, we don't care. We see licensed driver, vehicle licensed, and insured. That's it. But in the event of a crash, they may say they're not covering it because they choose not to, because you violated their contract. Now, when it comes to borrowing an insured vehicle, if you're licensed for that class of vehicle and the vehicle is insured, you're insured on it. But between different classes, if you don't have a motorcycle license, you're not insured on a motorcycle. You'd be an unlicensed driver for that class of vehicle. So in that situation, it depends if you were qualified to drive the vehicle. And then it would be the same thing. If you're qualified to drive a motorcycle, you can ride any motorcycle that is covered. Again, as long as you're not excluded. And that, again, is a discussion with your insurance company, not a licensing issue. All right. The Grinch. How many detachments does TPS have? So we're called divisions. We have, is it 15 divisions? But we also have specialty units, so it's a weird number. I think we have 15 divisions, and then traffic services isn't really considered a division. It's a what is it called? A central support unit. And then we have other units like police dog services and the mounted unit and so on. So we've got a lot. Check out tps.ca and you can get all the information about all of our different units. In addition to that, we are currently hiring. If you're interested in becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, check out tps.ca/careers for information about everything we do. And when I say everything, I mean the jobs we are currently hiring for, because we do a lot of things that aren't on the website. And just because I have the technology, I am going to do this, which is take this down, and I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to show you what we got, which is the careers page. Okay. On the careers page, you will see Aaron Urquhart right in the middle. And I don't know anybody else's name. But actually, I know him. And I saw a video on TPS Trust with him. I don't know her. No, I don't know the other people. But I'm sure they're magical people because they work for the Toronto Police Service. It's just what it is. Okay, let's look at the opportunities are. We've got police constable, parking enforcement officer. Okay, so police constables, if you're a new hire, if you work as a police officer with another service, you can be lateral. And then we have special constable, which is actually how I started as with the Toronto Police. We used to hire court officers who were special constables, and now special constables is the rank, and then they have different job functions. So that's kind of cool. We have parking enforcement officers, comms operators, and civilian roles. And I always go into the civilian roles because these are the positions that are currently available, but there are more available. So we have communication services. That's one. Staffing. I think these are the same ones that we had last week. So employee service records department at Toronto Police headquarters. When you go into these, you can see what the pay is, what the hours worked is, location, and where the cutoff date is. So if you were interested in applying, today is the day that it opens, and it closes on the 28th. And all the qualifications for the job are listed. Can I go back here? Yeah. Temp pool. So people who are applying as a temporary worker, and then they can eventually hopefully become qualified temps and maybe apply for jobs and get full-time employment. Communications operator, all the stuff is here. 3 positions currently available to people who are interested in working for the Toronto Police Service. And I've been with the service for 23 years. I think it's the best place to be. And if you are looking for a job that is a career with many jobs as opposed to a job, because you can start in one place and end up in another, and always find something challenging to do, you should really consider us. Okay. What is this? What is this? DW wants to know, can I be asked to roll up my window to test tint if the officer has not seen my tint? Yes. We can perform an inspection. Now, chances are, if we've seen the tint, which is why we'd ask about it. But yeah, there is like tinted windows are part of the safety check. So you would be obligated to comply with that. If you didn't, there's actually a charge under the Highway Traffic Act for failing to do that. So if I said pop your hood, I'm going to check your engine, you have to comply with that because we have the authority to do that. How long does it take to get on to SWAT? Well, we don't have SWAT. SWAT stands for Special Weapons and Tactics. That's, I believe, the LAPD calls their tactical team. We have the ETF, the Emergency Task Force. Other services have other names for theirs. But generally speaking, you need to get into any specialty about 8 years on the road, where you develop your skills and abilities as a police officer, going from a 4th class to a 1st class constable, and developing skills, knowing who you are and what you're doing before you're going to do something specialized. Once you're that particular job, only based on secondhand information, requires multiple interviews, tryouts, being ridiculously in good shape. So I'm not joining that anytime soon. And then there's psychological testing in addition to that of what, to become a police officer in the first place. So there, hope, but you know what? These are great questions to ask, and the people to ask are in recruiting. I have lots of little bits of information. They have lots and lots of great detailed information. ADGTV wants to know, can I use a moped with no license? No, you must be licensed. A moped is a motorcycle under the HTA. You have to have license, ownership, and insurance, which drives me crazy when I see people operating them without a license, without a helmet, and without license plates. That happens. I was driving home from work a couple of weeks ago. I think it's a couple of weeks ago. There was two young persons operating a moped northbound on Dufferin Street with no helmets on, no license plates on. I can only assume no license and no insurance. That would have resulted in charges by me had I, been in a police car at the time for, I don't know, drive vehicle no license. That carries a $5,000 to $25,000 fine for the first conviction. It goes up after that. Then there would be the no licenses, the no license plate, the no insurance. Sorry, they covered the no insurance, the no like permits. No, I would, every single charge under the sun would have been laid in that particular situation. There's no excuse at all. What is this? Oh, the Grinch is saying easier to watch on Twitch. Interesting. Why? What makes Twitch better? I want to know. We're on all of them, but I'm curious why you think that's a better viewing experience. Yeah. The Grinch wants to know, or it states, I'm just finishing my bachelor's degree in criminology and policing and minor in human rights and diversity. Anything available for that? Right now, only the positions that I read, but I have seen things in that area. So keep checking tps.ca/careers on a regular basis, because postings happen when they happen and they disappear. So in the example I showed you earlier, there were about 8-day windows. So you want to be checking every 5 days minimum and have your stuff ready. But you can log in and create a profile, upload your resume and all the stuff that you have available, so you're ready to go when posting that you're interested in becomes available. Okay, what is the employment process like? How long does the application process take? I don't know anymore. And this is where I guess we have to have someone from employment come in and do a podcast again. But the deal is, I've seen people who apply get hired overnight. That's an exaggeration, of course, quickly. And I've seen other people who took a very long time. My first application to the service was back in the late 90s, and it took a year. And I was convinced that somebody lost my profile. And then when someone looked at it, sure enough, it looks like they did. They found it again, and I was hired very quickly because there was a class coming in. Then I applied to be a court officer, and I think within 6 months I was hired. I applied to become a police officer, and then there was a freeze. So that took a long time, like a year. There's always potential delays. Right now might be the very best time to apply because we are hiring people and we're looking for a lot of them. Now that Sergeant Campbell's not here, I can move the Instagram camera a little closer so I can actually read questions, because there's 4 of them sitting in the waiting. Okay. Do police back up bylaw officer if a person won't provide name or identification to the bylaw officer for a ticket? I've seen a lot of people just walk away. Yeah, if they call for help, we obviously go and go there. Now, someone, depending on the offense, they may not have to identify. It loves you back, Sarge. Are you coming back? He's not. He's got stuff to do. I had to ask. Sorry for yelling in everyone's ears. But whenever Sergeant Campbell walks by, he tends to yell, "Love your TikToks," and then I usually yell back what I yell back. So, yeah, it's just a thing we do. It's weird. If the minimum charge for driving is $5,000, what would cause it's all going to be based on the whatever the courts determine. It's so a range. The question is in relation to if the first offense for drive no insurance has a fine range of $5,000 to $25,000, what would make you go 5,000? What would make you go 25,000? I don't know what would have them. I've never actually seen one for $25,000. I think that everyone should get it for $25,000 because driving without insurance is disgusting. Because if I pay, you should pay too. But more because people who get hurt or people who are driving uninsured vehicles and hurt other people, they're really doing harm. They really are. they're putting people, having been in a collision. I'm thankful that the person had insurance. I'm thankful that I had insurance, because it took both of their insurances to pay for things that I needed when I was recovering, and I'm still recovering. It's unfortunately, many of these things are lifelong. But I don't know what would cause a judge. I would imagine it would be based on, was it just a stop versus a stop with a collision where people were injured? I think that the factors surrounding the charge would dictate, but I really don't know what goes through the hearts and minds of JPs and judges. What is this? Oh, I don't know the answer to this, but I'll put it on the screen anyway. What is the fine for using dyed fuel without the appropriate plate or registration? So this is talking about farm fuel. Farms get reduced price fuel, from my understanding, for use on farm equipment because they're in the process of agriculture and whatnot. They get a discount if you're using that fuel or buying fuel for your personal vehicle that isn't plated appropriately. There are fines. I just don't know what they are. I don't work in a farming community, so I've never had call to lay it. But I'm sure I could phone a friend. I just don't know where. I don't know even. I don't know. Okay. What is this? Still wondering. ARZ license. Can you drive air brake trailers? You need to have an air. Oh. Yeah, I still don't know the answer. I think you need to have an air brake. You have to have the air brake designation. You said if you have Z, I don't know. I say, who can I ask? Is somebody in earshot? Nobody's in earshot. I got to keep coming back to that. Okay. Can you as a traffic cop? Oh, this is a great question. Can you as a traffic cop enforce non-HTA laws? Yes, I'm a police officer. I can enforce any provincial law, any criminal law, because I'm a police officer. First, I just happen to specialize and work at traffic services, but that doesn't make me any different than any other police officer out there. We just happen to have different specialties. Some of them, are gang, investigators. I am not, but we're all police officers, having graduated from the same police college or, a similar one. Because obviously, if you're not in Ontario, it's not the same college. What is this? Oh, I really think this is great that police went to a platform and used to answer questions from the public and create and bridges the gap in community trust. I think I read that properly from the Grinch, and thank you very much. Yeah, this is awesome. We've been doing this for a couple of years. It really became popular for us during the pandemic when we couldn't get out and help people, but wanted to find a way to make ourselves available so we could answer your traffic and police questions, because that's what we do. And we couldn't rely on the means of engagement that we used to. And here's the thing. Yeah, anyone could call the police station all the time, anytime, and ask a question. They may or may not get someone who knows the answer. They may or may not feel comfortable calling and having a one-on-one. This makes us much more accessible. And that's important because we want to help you. A lot of people accuse us of being tax collectors and accuse us of, being tough meanies to give tickets. And all we want to do is make sure people get home safe. That's all we care about. That and donuts. No, we don't care about donuts. But I like saying that. So many people think we like donuts. I don't dislike donuts. Okay. We talked about this. We talked about that. Interesting question, Michael. I don't know if dealers actually get more business from license plate frames. I just don't want to what do you call it? To pay to have no one's paying me, so I don't want to have advertising on the back of my vehicle, and it's against the law. Okay. Michael says should be able to drive with air service brake with Z. I don't understand that user claiming to have ARZ because why would A be restricted with a Z? I don't know. I'm not a person, so here I am having dialogue with Michael and ignoring you, but I believe Michael drives truck. Okay. Oh, interesting question, and we'll talk about that in just 1 second from Frosty Obliques. So let's see what John is saying.
Good morning, Sean. The fine for running dyed diesel is $440 plus victim surcharge.
440? Did I hear that right?
The fine for
440. Okay. Thank you, John Woodstruck, who knows stuff and things that I do not. 400. That's a lot of money. Wow. Don't avoid paying taxes on gas. That's bad. So 440. Yeah, that's serious. I don't even know what someone would do to find dyed gas, but it's good to know that if you use it, you'll get in trouble. Okay. Who do you call when a police officer is abusing power in public? Well, you have the ability, if you believe that someone is doing the wrong thing, to make a complaint. You can call a sergeant. You can go to a division. They will likely refer you to the OIPRD, which is a civilian oversight. But you can certainly make complaints, and they will be investigated. They may not necessarily be abusing power, but that's why they do investigations. Top of the morning to you, Sean. What's the dynamic like with TTC trolleys and general traffic and pedestrians? So Logan is in Alberta. He is an enforcement officer for the city of Brooks, Alberta, and the doesn't actually have. Well, you're from Ontario, so interesting. And trolleys is a word we don't use very often, but TTC streetcars, we have them here. And what is the dynamic? I don't even know how to answer your question, because I'm not sure I understand it, but they are definitely a unique experience for anyone who's not from here, who doesn't know that we have a rail transit system above ground that I think is great. But I also wish they were in the curb lane. That's just me. It does cause some issues, and it caused some issues for Tesla when they were trying to figure out how to circumnavigate these things. What is? I don't know how to answer your question, Bill. What do you mean? Tell me more. What do you want to know? Like, do people like them? I assume they do. But very often we have a problem with cyclists and drivers not yielding or not stopping for them. We have people who step off the curb before the vehicle comes to a stop, which is, by the way, against the law. You can be charged for doing that. You must wait until the vehicle, the streetcar comes to a stop and opens its doors before getting into the road. But people just wander into the road waiting for them because they anticipate their arrival, and then sometimes bad things happen. Okay. Oh, it really? Chase says, and by the way, this is the first statement from Chase in the show. This is weird. 47 minutes into the show, but I guess you're allowed to be at work and do other stuff. But Chase is a regular contributor, and it's usually like the first 5 minutes of the show before we hear from him. Chase says they lowered a neighborhood in south end of Cambridge to 25 kilometers an hour. We have tons of them that are 30 kilometers an hour, so I'm not surprised. The deal is that speed kills, and I know people lose their mind when I say that. But it does. If you hit someone at 25K, they're probably going to yell at you. And if you, well, maybe that's an exaggeration. Maybe they'll be hurt, but not dead, and still yell at you. But if you hit them at 60, you're probably going to come close to killing them. And if you hit them at 70 or 80, I think you're nearly guaranteed to kill them. This is bad. We want to make roads safer for everybody. The whole concept behind Vision Zero is to make roads safer through enforcement, education, and design. So we want to make safe places for vulnerable road users. We want to make side roads slower so people don't make it unsafe, but people who are just zipping through side streets, it changes the way people use roads. If they can do 60 on a side street, which they can't, not safely, people can't walk walk in their neighborhood safely. There's concern for their well-being. So that's why there's so many reductions in speed, and I support it entirely. You know what? When you actually set your sights on doing the speed limit, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Slowing down is easy to do. I know it drives people crazy. I set my speedometer. Now this is for on the highway, 190 kilometer an hour zones. I set my speedo or my cruise control at the speed limit. And I'm stopped and I'm passed as though I'm not moving on my way to work every day. And on my way home, if I'm even lucky to get up to 40 is impressive, but that's another story. It's not slow. And I don't get anywhere it doesn't take me any longer to get to where I'm going, because the people who are going fast are constantly accelerating and decelerating and changing lanes and doing all sorts of unsafe business. And they're putting extra wear and tear in their car. They're burning more gas, and my consistent 100 all the way to work, and then dropping down to 90 once I get onto the DVP. It's easy peasy. I even find myself passing them at some points because they don't know where they're coming or going, but they are risking not only their licenses, their points, their everything, their lives. Okay. I'm canning. Oh, here we go. I'm planning to get my bike license. Can I skip my M2 and get my M if I have foreign experience? It depends on the ministry, whether or not Drive Test will accommodate or accept any of your experience from elsewhere. So you need to check with them. I don't know if you'll qualify or not. In fact, when you got many people tell me that when they got their G's, they just told them they had a motorcycle and they got the designation. So I don't know if that's still the case. I don't know what is this picture of? I just got a picture from Maximum 25 Begins. Oh, I got a sign from, is that a yellow sign or is that yellow lights? It looks like yellow sign. And this is follow up from Logan. Do they cause problems with those who may not understand how to navigate around them? I mean, I've never had to drive with traffic with a train. You know what? Yeah, but most of the time it's cyclists who fail to stop. See, when the door is open, you can't pass. Cars who don't respect the fact that the doors mean stop. They roll up on doors. They cause issues. There are charges for that under the. Is it the TT? There's TTC Act, and then there's also the HTA, and I believe they both cover different things that support that. I'm not. My enforcement was very rarely downtown, so I don't. I've issued the ticket, but I haven't issued a ton of them. But I would issue more because I see it. I see people, drivers and cyclists, putting folks on the road trying to get onto trolleys at risk. See, you got me saying trolley now. What is this? If you're doing a breathalyzer test and the guy blows 0, but he has an open container, what's your next move? You charge him for the open container. You can't have an open container regardless of you've consumed it or not. That may not be the answer you're looking for, but you can't break the law. Any of the laws. There's no picking and choosing. They're probably, it depends. They're probably getting a ticket. Michael says, for Logan, it is like a school bus. They have red disco lights when the door is about to open. Stop 2 meters behind the rear door of the streetcar. I like that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to photo enforcement or automated enforcement in relation to school buses. We need to really hold people accountable in that regard. We have far too many people who are not stopping for school buses. I hear it all the time. People run in, send me messages all the time saying people are blowing past a school bus, and we're concerned for the safety of the kids. It's a good thing to be concerned about because these people are directly putting lives at risk, and it's our most precious ones, the little ones. Okay. Oh, here we go. Ryan Pinn, our friend from Nova Scotia, says, when I was 19, I had when I was 19, I had a guy hit me with his car about 30 kilometers an hour. I made him drive me to the hospital. Well, I don't know why you made him hit you with his car. I would have asked him not to hit you, but I'm being an idiot. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that you were hit. I'm glad that you're okay. Getting hit by a car, bad. I'd love to know more about this collision, though, because it sounds interesting. What is the... Okay. What is the fine for pedestrians walking on a non-crosswalk or stepping out into traffic at an intersection? So if we're talking about the concept of failing to yield for a vehicle, because there's 2 charges, and I don't know what it is, but everything's like $110 unless it's special. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I was having a conversation about this on Twitter this morning. So this is pedestrian, I believe, failed to yield. And that's different than failed to yield to pedestrian on roadway. So if you're a driver who fails to yield to a pedestrian on the roadway, it's $365 and 4 points. And it says, when a pedestrian is crossing on the roadway within a pedestrian crossover, the driver of a vehicle approaching the crossover shall not proceed onto the crossover until the pedestrian is no longer on the roadway. This is specific to pedestrian crossover, not at an intersection. But I've had people who actually didn't know or have pulled past people, stopped at a crossover. Crossover is where it's not intersection related, usually has the signage above or blinking lights. Pedestrian failed to yield at crossover. Oh, okay. So this is at a crossover again, but it's the pedestrian charge of $50, no demerit points because they're pedestrians. And that says, no pedestrian shall leave the curb or other place of safety at a pedestrian crossover and walk, run, or move into the path of a vehicle that is so close that it is impracticable for the driver of the vehicle to stop to comply with subsection 1, which is the fact that they have to stop for crossovers. So if you just walk out, you're looking for trouble and potentially a ticket. But that's not here. Pedestrian failed to use crosswalk. Where portions of a roadway are marked for pedestrian use, no pedestrian shall cross the roadway except within a portion that is marked. So if there's no crosswalk available, like mid-block, somewhere where there's, it's a mile in every direction, people say it's jaywalking. It's not jaywalking in that situation. It's legal. And in fact, we don't have a charge for jaywalking. But we do have that one. Failed to use a provided crosswalk. Pedestrian disobey amber light. No pedestrian approaching a traffic control signal and facing a red or amber signal shall enter the roadway. There's one. But they're all about $50 for pedestrians. Is there stunt walking? I'm looking for the one charge, though. I've only come across the one. I'm just scrolling through things. And I'm going to stop scrolling now because I don't want to focus on this anymore. Parking lights made it look yellow. Oh, yes, for that one. Okay. Hide, show. Press the button. Okay. And Chase slept in. How did you get to sleep till 10 o'clock? You lucky guy. Frosty wants to know if I have a power over military personnel. If a member of the military is committing an offense, can we arrest them? Yeah, we can. Would we call and if we knew ahead of time that they were members of the military, we'd probably call the MPs to get involved. But I've never had to deal with that. Hello, sir. Are you here for another 4 minutes? Because I'll be off the air, and I have slippers for you. I must give you your slippers. Okay, Akila's got to go, and I want to check out, what do I have here? I want to check out the chat to see what's going on as I catch up and look for Monday's joke. What did everyone call the teacher who carried a textbook in her pocket? Smarty pants. Yes, I have jokes. They're not all good, but I peel them one day at a time. I'm not here tomorrow. Because I have things that must be done that will keep me elsewhere. However, I will be here Wednesday. And then Thursday, I will not be here. So if you want to join the show, the next opportunity will be Wednesday. And Logan, maybe Wednesday's a good day for you to join in. John getting slapped by legal says my man sleep until 10. Wish I was him. Sleeping in for me is like 7 a.m. I slept till 9 o'clock on Sunday. That was tremendous sleeping in because I'm usually up at 4:30. Let's see here. The Grinch says, I'm not a TO driver as I have to wait till it loads. I hate driving there, and every time I drive downtown, the pedestrians always step out, and it seems the driver tends to get charged more often. I think you're right. I think very often there's an overrepresentation of or at least a belief that the cars are always doing it wrong. And actually, I was talking about it on Twitter today. There's a lot of bad on both sides. We have drivers who are completely, what's a nasty word that I can get away with saying? They're not very good. They stink. Yeah. They don't understand that pedestrians have a legal right to be there if they're lawfully in the road. But I also see pedestrians constantly never pausing for any vehicles. And then we end up with traffic backed up for kilometers because there's a rush of pedestrians who just don't care. So if everybody doesn't care, we have a problem. It's like that eye for an eye leaves everybody blind. Well, when nobody cares about the other side, we have big problems. We need to understand that shared roads are shared roads, and the roadway includes the sidewalk. Or sorry, the highway includes the sidewalk. The roadway is the actual road. We all need to get along. I get to a curb. I look. If there's a lineup of cars trying to turn, if nobody's moving anywhere, because I want to be a good citizen, a good person, will give that driver the acknowledgement that they can go. And I wait for them because what's a couple of seconds, but that traffic is backing up. Now, people who are big on pedestrian safety may say that I have a right to be there, but it's like, who gets to the intersection first? If 4 cars arrive at the intersection first, who gets to go first? Who cares? Let somebody else go, and then you take your turn. You go to the right. Like, it doesn't have to be me. Like, there has to be some cooperative business here. Has to. And the Grinch is new to the channel. We do dad jokes almost every day, unless I forget. We try. I have a pad. I can't show tomorrow's. Well, tomorrow will be baked into Wednesday, but we do dad jokes, and of course Sergeant Campbell's big into dad jokes, so they became a thing. And we're all about stuff and things. Let's see here. Okay. We have here Kemper, is it Caliso? Kepner Caliso. Okay. I think you're new to the group. 156 participants now in a group. Welcome, because I think this is the first time you've ever asked me a question. Just wondering, is the active license plate scanners being used in Toronto already? We've actually had ALPR in Toronto for, I think, 20 years, like for our street sweeper project, but it was specifically looking for stolen vehicles that were parked. It was part of our parking enforcement. That being said, I don't think we have any deployed on our regular cars or in testing, and they will be coming here. So that's something that will happen. Just not yet. OPP, I believe, has rolled out theirs. I've seen some samples, but I haven't seen them deployed everywhere. I don't know how long that'll take. It's always a process. They can only screw one in at a time. Okay, so backstory on the 35-kilometer-an-hour or a collision with Ryan Pinn. He had just finished band practice and was walking to town to hop on the bus. No sidewalk, and this guy was just trying to be funny because he knew one of the guys I was with. Yeah, nothing funny about that. Good to know. Okay. Can't go a single show without asking a question. Well, I appreciate that, Chase. Can police? Well, you sent me a picture already, so was that in the form of a question? Can police use their discretion not to lay charges in a collision? If there's nothing to support one person being at fault over another, I think that at that point they can. If you can't prove that one person was absolutely responsible, it's hard to lay a charge because you need to be able to support the charge. You can't just say, well, I don't know who it was, but I picked them. So I've been in situations where collisions didn't have an appropriate person to charge or an obvious offense to do, but really every collision has somebody responsible for it, and not charging is really not doing anybody any favors. See, if someone clearly caused the collision, I want to hold that person responsible in the report so that the other person doesn't get screwed over. Pardon my French, because that's what happens. If you don't charge somebody, if you don't lay a charge, then it's possible to twist the situation. Now, I will say this: insurance companies make their own determination, regardless of what we do as police. Just what it is. So maybe it doesn't make a difference. But when I investigate a collision, I lay a charge as long as I can support that. And I have to have something to support it. But very often the stories don't match up, and that's a problem. Okay. Got it. Okay. Oh, very nice. No, what is this? This is very scary that he said this, but Logan says he'll be in his hat, chaps, and spurs waiting for you. So again, Logan Grant's an officer out of Alberta. Grant in Brooks, Alberta. Grant's his name, not the place. And I've seen the hat. He has a cowboy hat. They do that sort of stuff there. The chaps and spurs, I was not ready for. Okay. Okay, and the Grinch is coming back on Wednesday. Awesome. We have a hello from this user on Twitch. Hello back, but questions are preferred other than just hello. Hello isn't a question. Okay. If it was a clear improper turn, but an officer wanted to give the driver a break, would that be allowed? Officer discretion is always there, but I'm sure it would be criticized. And my wife says, have a safe day, everybody. And that is my cue to say goodbye. It is 11:03 and we're over time. John getting slapped by legal will also be wearing chaps and spurs on Wednesday. I'm only mildly uncomfortable now. Okay, here we go with the traffic safety song. The traffic song, written, performed, and recorded here, Traffic Services. Have a great day, everybody.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
I say that I'm going offline, but Chase brings up the thing. Does anyone remember when these lives were 8 a.m.? I do. We used to do this really early when we first got going, and we kept sliding it down and down further at 9 and then 10 o'clock, and we just stayed here at 10 o'clock. Do you think they should be 8 o'clock again? Is that better or worse? I don't know, but let me know. Send us some messages, watch our stuff, and follow us if you don't already follow us. And we'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. No, we're not going to be back tomorrow. We'll be back Wednesday at 10 a.m. to do it all over again. Have a great day. Stay safe.